Afternoon, everybody. Tony here. Just got done watching Avengers Doomsday trailer. Got quite a bit to say. I'm sorry. Every time, love you to death, though. He's always in my face when I'm doing something. Anyway, I was looking at the trailer, and I was sitting down. I was thinking about it because I only really do research on Marvel movies now. After I would definitely say Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home, the third one. That was when I stopped keeping up, like going to releases. I stopped doing that because it felt like I was really wasting a lot of time and a lot of money, especially after Last Jedi. But the thing about it is that though I haven't kept up with a lot of it, I'm still pretty savvy on the comics for the most part. No, I don't know every intricate detail. I'm sorry that I was busy doing a lot of other things. I kept up with my nerd stuff when I could, not when I wanted to. But since I can do that, I really dislike, and I mean the whole phase of the MCU right now. Ever since Endgame. So Endgame for me was like the end for me with Marvel for a lot of reasons, because time travel, you really should be careful about how you play time travel in any story because it complicates the story relentlessly. And multiverse trivializes any kind of conflict, in which is exactly what they're doing here. They're trying to pull the multiverse card, and that's been pulled a lot of times in Marvel with like Secret Wars, and then you have DC with Crisis on Infinite Earths. A lot of franchises play with the multiverse because the multiverse is the easiest excuse to have fights that could never happen in the story. Like Doom. And I like Doom. I like Doom a lot. I don't know a whole lot about Doom, but the bit I always seen of Doom through video games, through a bit of a comic books, obviously through the animated series, whenever he would pop up in any of the Marvel animated series back in the day when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Doom because I always thought he was just such a game changer whenever he popped up. You never really knew exactly what Doom had cooking back in the day when I was a kid. It was always, I won't forget Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That was the best when it came down to just showing how far Doom would go if he had the opportunity. And the game was, honestly, it just felt like it came right out of the comic books with how the story went. It gets over exaggerated, it gets a little bit too big to handle, but it's fun. That's the part. It was fun as a kid. And it had a cohesive story, and there was so much lore that you could learn about. Marvel Ultimate Alliance really was like my way into Marvel. I really liked it because, well, Spider-Man was, but Marvel Ultimate Alliance got me into all the other characters more so. I was already fans of Wolverine, Spider-Man. Venom is my favorite bad guy, and I'm so disappointed with that. But anyway, Doomsday. Pretty much utilizing the multiverse plot theme is a dicey area, because as I said before, it either trivializes it or it always does, because in an infinite multiverse, what's the value of me when there's infinite different versions of me, or at least infinite worlds with an infinite amount of means? But obviously some would have versions of me that don't look like me at all. But the idea is that when there's so many of you, who cares if like 100 go, 1,000 go, 1,000,000 go? It's infinite. There's never going to be an end. Thus, that mathematically trivializes anything. And it goes the same for a story. It goes very much the same for a story. And also at the same time, where's the rapport with the audience? Most people well, most people who don't know much about anything in Marvel, or their only introduction into Marvel was the movies, don't know about Doom. They don't know. They don't. Not everybody was watching Fantastic Four that much. You know, heck, the first two movies really kind of went over some people's heads. Really, like, you know, they were popular. I watched them, but you know, they really weren't super big. You know, and again, like for most of the audience, it's always going. That's actually how they're losing money. It's because most of the audience isn't just fans of Marvel. It's normal, like everyday people who might have completely different interests in other things, but might be pretty open when it comes down to movies, and thus might become a Marvel fan after watching, I don't know, Iron Man. I liked Incredible Hulk. I I would only recommend Thor Ragnarok. That's just me though. That's just me. Obviously the first Avengers movie. I liked Age of Ultron for a couple things, but ultimately I did not like that one. But the reason why this is going to fail is because not many people know much about Marvel when they go into the theaters. Because most of the people who go to theaters often are movie fans. They like movies. They love the feeling of, like, I was a movie fan. I am still a movie fan. I just, current movie tastes are, I mean, well, not even tastes, current movies right now coming out make no sense. Often they feel like comedies, and I'm fine with a comedy. I love a comedy, but when it's always a comedy, it kind of kills any idea of a story, because I will never know. Like a character could die, and then another character's just gonna make a joke like 2 seconds after, in that character's corpse, like right in their face after they'll just make a joke. It's kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine. I did watch that one, and I was disappointed because it's the same thing again. The multiverse is not something you just put into your story and think is going to increase the chances of, you know, notoriety to the story. It actually diminishes it a lot because you have all these characters. A lot of people in the audience don't know. They don't know them. They don't, or even worse, like, again, Deadpool, Wolverine, and I'm not even kidding you. I watched the movie only because I like Deadpool. I loved Wolverine. So I was like, I'm not, I'm gonna watch this. I'm just gonna watch it and just see. And I watched it, and I was disappointed because off the bat I was like, well, you kind of messed with Old Man Logan first, which messed up that just messed all my love for the film off the bat, because I was just like, oh, just disrespect a deceased character in the story. That makes complete sense, you know, because some people might have liked Old Man Logan quite a lot and don't like the idea of his skeletal remains being used as basically a bludgeoning weapon and sometimes a stabbing weapon, throwing weapon too. Anyway, the point about it is the main reason why I did dislike Deadpool and Wolverine is because of the fact that it introduced the TVA, and the TVA is a multiverse thing, and it's constricted to the Loki show. So basically, if you never had seen the Loki show, which I have an example of that exact situation, my mother, she's a Marvel fan, and basically I talked to her about it, and because I watched the movie and I asked her, because I knew she would go watch the movie, and I asked her about it, and I asked her about the TVA, and she was like, I had no idea what those people were. I was really lost when the TVA got introduced, and I was like, mm-hmm. And it's funny how the whole movie is actually within the lore of Loki. So if you didn't watch Loki, you didn't understand majority of what was happening. You probably didn't even know Charles Xavier had a sister. I don't know if that's a thing in the comic books or not. And I'm just sitting there like, eh. It's the same ball game with this. It's multiverse. There's a lot of characters that people would never have seen before, or never have seen movies of before. Or, again, like, if you're not an X-Men fan, but you're, because I know a guy once, well, back in the old day, he was only an Iron Man fan. He only watched Infinity War because he knew Iron Man was in it. That's it. He didn't know any other characters. He didn't watch Guardians Guide. But you know what made Infinity War work is because each of those characters had movies to establish them. Thus, even if a person who had never seen the other characters before, in like again a collaboration, I would call it. I'm bad when it comes out to specific words, but anyway, when it comes down to movies like that, where we have multiple heroes from different stories coming together, often enough, you know, as long as one hero is recognizable to somebody, they are going to come in like audience members who are fans of that one. But the story still has to be cohesive, and you still have to represent the other heroes well for people to have any interest in them. Like, take Thunderbolts for example. How trying to remember Taskmaster. I don't know why I'm messing up that much, but they got killed off at the beginning of the movie. Well, before the team really assembled. So that's why I was like, yeah, like, what if someone didn't see the Black Widow movie and didn't know about Taskmaster being a thing? Well, no one knows the significance of that character, so I guess they just died and no one cared. But that's the idea. This isn't gonna do any favors for anybody in Disney right now, because they don't understand, or maybe they don't care. I normally go down to they don't care. They don't care if their audience can actually connect with the movie they're making anymore. They're just hoping that the notoriety brings in people, and which is why I don't go to the theaters to watch Marvel movies anymore. I'm not watching this. If I am gonna watch it, it'll be when it's not in theaters, so I can just look at it and be like, yeah, I figured you're gonna be this bad, but not that bad. And that's pretty much how I'm expecting it. I don't expect anything good out of these things. Every time I predicted it, it's always on the spot. Deadpool Wolverine was kind of one of those areas, but again, disrespecting a deceased character, and on top of it, introducing TBA, which require you to watch a whole other show to understand, or the beginning to understand. Again, this is going back to like all the way back to WandaVision, where like WandaVision came right after Endgame, and you know, it was a good time because people would obviously, you know, people who really like the character would want to watch in on that. But then you get Multiverse of Madness, and then next thing you know, it's like, well, what if there's somebody who didn't like Wanda that much? I like Black Widow. That's just me. But, you know, I didn't care about Wanda, so guess what? I didn't see WandaVision. And really, in all truth, after Endgame, I was kind of diced because I was like, I could never get away from that time travel mechanic, because I was just like, how do you have multiverse theory and single string theory in the same plot? How do you do that? And you know what? They couldn't do it. They've been, oof. I don't have words. This is why I don't do too many. I want to do these more often, but I go on tangents for a while when I do these. So I'm gonna try to do more. But that's it. This is hot garbage before it even hits theaters yet. And also, I hope everyone is having a good day. I hope everyone's trying their best to be productive and practical. I don't see a reason why not to be those things. But do your best, try your best, and at the end of the day, if you got some stuff done, pat yourself on the back and be happy about that. You don't need nobody telling you that. You can tell yourself that, and that'll be good enough, trust me. Eternia out.